if we are going to defend some of the basic fundamental rights of trans people, we're going to need those individuals in our coalition. If you have to be perfect on every trans rights issue for us to say you can be an ally and part of our coalition, then we're going to have a cap of about 30% on our coalition. If we are going to have 50% plus one, or frankly, more necessarily 60% or more in support of non-discrimination protections for trans people, in support of our ability to get the healthcare that we need, by definition, it will have to include a portion of the 70% who oppose trans people's participation in sports. And right now, the message from so many is you're not welcome. And your support for 90% of these policies is irrelevant. The fact that you diverge on one thing makes you evil. And it also misunderstands the history of civil rights in this country. I mean, you can't compromise on civil rights is a great tweet. But tell me, which Civil Rights Act delivered all progress and all civil rights for people of color in this country? The Civil Rights Act of 1957, the Civil Rights Act of 1960, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the Civil Rights Act of 1968, or any of the civil rights acts that have been passed since the 1960s. That movement was disciplined, it was strategic, it picked its battles, it picked its fights, and it compromised to move the ball forward. And right now, that compromise would be deemed unprincipled, weak, and throwing everyone under the bus. And that is so counterproductive, it is so harmful, and it completely betrays the lessons of every single social movement and civil rights movement in our country's history. So many of the problems that we face are rooted in the fact that hurt people hurt people. And I think we are in this, not to go down a rabbit hole, I think that we are in this place where we are in this fierce competition for pain, where the left says to the right, what do you know about pain? White, straight, cis man, my pain is real as a queer transgender person. And then the right says to the left, what do you know about pain, college-educated, cosmopolitan elite? My pain is real in a post-industrial community ravaged by the opioid crisis. And we are in this competition for pain when there is plenty of pain to go around. And every therapist will tell you that the first step to healing is to have your pain seen and validated. And while it requires intentionality and effort sometimes, I think we would all be better off if we recognized that we don't have to believe that someone is right for what they're facing to be wrong. But I also think that there's one other aspect of this that I think we have lost, which is the intentionality of hope. And, I think we have fallen prey in our online discourse, in our politics, to a sense that cynicism is in vogue, that cynicism shows that we get it. And I think one of the things that we have to recognize is sometimes hope is a conscious effort. And that sense of inevitability, that sort of organic sense of hope that we felt in this post-1960s world, that is the exception in our history. And you have to step into the shoes of people in the 1950s, people in the 1930s, people in the 1850s, and to move past the history that we view with the hindsight of inevitability and go into those moments and recognize that every previous generation of Americans had every reason to give up hope. And you cannot tell me that the reasons for hopelessness now are greater than the reasons for hopelessness then.
So you're saying there's something audacious about hope.
There's something
Some
audacious.
audacity in it.
You have to summon it. You have to summon it. And I think if we allow ourselves to recognize that hope isn't about, optimism is about circumstance. It's about evaluating likelihood. Hope is something that transcends that. And when we lull ourselves into the sense of cynicism and we give up on hope, that is when we lose.